Hey, Lincoln, obviously you guys don't have preseason games. So, especially in these early games and last week, how much is just like learning about your team in a game atmosphere? And does that require maybe some types of experimentation, whether it's rotation or different play calls that you wouldn't normally try?
Uh, yeah, probably some of both. I don't know. It's like play calls that you would normally try. I mean, I think you're going out there every game, trying to do your best as a coach and put the guys in position to make plays and to have success. And so, it's not like that in a preseason game because the results still count, right? Like you got to win. And this isn't the NFL or a bunch of other sports where you can afford a bunch of losses. And so obviously, putting yourself in position to win and be successful is number one. But yeah, I mean, I think there certainly was you're certainly there's some experimenting with lineups, depending on the guys that have earned reps, which I know we've talked about at length this week. Yeah, and I do think you're still kind of figuring out the personality of the team. That's the one scenario that, despite all the things we do, the spring game's the closest thing to it, but still feels very different than a real game against a different opponent, in a packed stadium. It's just you try to simulate as much as you can, but it feels different, especially for those guys that haven't done it before. And so yeah, I mean, I think you learn a lot from that tape. We've identified a lot that we need to, get better at, adjust areas where you can get guys settled in or settled down to just go play ball. And I think we'll do a better job of that this week.
Thanks.
Mhm.
RJ?
Hey, Lincoln, coaches talk all the time about handling adversity, but I'm just curious about handling success, specifically at a place like USC. Can you just talk about the different challenges about handling success at USC and how equipped you think this group is to do that moving forward?
I think we are. I mean, I think as a staff, majority of people on staff have experience in high level programs and places where success is expected. And so I think that's helpful. We have a lot of coaches that have coached at some big time places. And so I think being able to, for us to be able to lay out a plan and be able to share some of our experiences and some of that knowledge with our guys is helpful. I also think having some players that have played in other high profile programs is certainly helpful there as well. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's every year feels different. Every scenario feels a little bit different, and you got to be able to adapt and adjust to whatever the challenges were and get to your best. And that's the challenges in some ways this year are the same. In some ways, as we've talked about, are different, right? This is not year one. This is not the complete restart. This is, we've talked a lot about it. It's you're not convincing guys right now that we can win. They know we can. Or last year there was a little bit of the other way around. But yeah, the challenge is in that, and I think our challenge right now as a team is you have to block out all of that noise. You have to block out all of those distractions that really they don't count for anything at the end of the day. Like nobody cares where you were ranked to start a season. Like nobody cares what some poll or somebody in the media or some magazine or whatever said about you. Like it doesn't, here in a few months, nobody's going to talk about that, right? It's going to be is, how did you play through the year? How'd you finish? Right. Like, I mean, that's ultimately, what we're all going to get judged on. And so I think if you have a singular focus that way, and we know to become the team we want to be, that we just have to relentlessly just improve and just keep going. We'll have a chance. But that's right. That's our challenge this year, right? Is not getting too caught up in all that and just staying the course. And I think there's some examples of that last week with our team, specifically in the first half. We addressed it a little bit at halftime and was proud of the way we responded in the third quarter. But we got to come out and do that and take some big steps this week.
Thank you.
Mark?
Good morning, Coach. I think you probably answered the question a little bit in this last one. During practice, you challenged the players to get better and and to become develop into the players you think they can be. When it comes to the game time, what do you and the coaching staff, how do you challenge yourselves during the game to reach that certain goal? Do you set a goal or a challenge for each game for you and the coaching staff?
You're talking for like in terms of player performance, or are you talking specifically with us?
Specifically with you.
Yeah, we grade ourselves just like we do the players. Whether it's going back through, there's a million ways we do it. We grade ourselves on, like quality of calls that we thought we made, right? And did we continually put our guys in the best positions? And some of that is, game planning through the week. Some of that's kind of right the in the moment calls that you have to make. We grade ourselves on, did we feel like we played, the best lineups? Did we feel like our sub patterns were good? Do we grade ourselves on our communication in game? Because obviously these things start moving quickly, and the communication, for those that have never been on a headset or, never kind of been in the fire, the communication there's a lot going on, man. A lot going on. It's so yeah, that's your ability to prepare as a coach and then be really maintain your focus and your performance throughout a game is obviously, just as critical as the players from a focus standpoint. So now we're hard on ourselves. We're probably harder on ourselves than we are the players, because we don't want to let those guys down, and we want to make sure we're doing our part for the team, and we got to hold up our end of the bargain. So yeah, no, we evaluate it, spend a lot of time on that, and yeah, we're always pushing to get better. And the other thing we've tried to do is own our mistakes, not just in the staff room, but in front of the team too. It's if I give you an example, like if I screw something up in the game, I'm gonna tell the team, because I'm gonna call you out if you mess something up, right? So, but why should I be held to any standard different than any other player? And so we've tried to own those in front of the guys, and make sure that they know that we're striving to improve just as much as they need to be.
Would it be fair to ask what you graded your staff for the first game performance?
I don't give them a number grade. So it's not like, oh, well, we graded 80% on this. But for us, it's more going back through situations that happened, calls that happened, and identifying the ones where it's like, we need to do better than this. This is not what we need to do. What's the adjustment? Where was the breakdown? And then let's fix it so it doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan?
Hey, Lincoln. Eric Gentry had a limited role last week, but when he was out there, it was really impactful. Are there ways that you can already see that he's advanced from last season or grown in his game?
Yes, and he was. You're right. He was impactful last week. He played well. Yeah, gosh, Ryan, a lot of ways. He's grown a lot physically. Just the added weight. He's not where he's gonna be, down the line here, but he just added, 15, 20 pounds right now. There's a noticeable difference. His understanding of what we're doing defensively and his confidence in that is at a much higher spot. He's communicating so much better because he's confident in the calls, and he knows what we're doing. He's done a nice job staying very engaged, even throughout spring when we didn't have him. So I give the kid a lot of credit on that. So yeah, I like any player, listen, he continues to perform. He's going to continue to have opportunities to be out there more and more. And certainly after watching the last game, it's, he was one of those guys that really rose up to the occasion and played well and put himself in the conversation of a guy that needs to be playing more reps, starting, all of that stuff. So no, we were very pleased with him. It's kind of how he's handled everything. And yeah, he's definitely grown and matured in many ways.
And with that group in general, you have two guys who started last year who are back, two different guys who started the first game. When it's at full strength and everyone's healthy, when Shane's fully healthy, what's the ideal situation there? How do you utilize all those pieces?
Yeah, I think we would like to play multiple guys there. It's obviously an important position, and we feel like, having those guys, and I would throw, Trojan in the mix there certainly too, because we thought he did some really nice things at the end of the year, and then kind of throughout this off season really did some nice things. So yeah, we feel like there's 5, right now that, we feel really good about. And so, I mean, I think you first, you think continued competition, right? Guys got to perform to be on the field. The ability to potentially package that down the line and get, potentially even, more of those guys out there. You think about the ability to rotate some and keep those guys fresh. I mean, all of it being a positive for USC.
Thanks.
Connor?
Hey, Coach, who's impressed you in practice this week and why? And what do you expect to see from Nevada?
Oh, I got a Nevada question. There we go. Who's impressed in practice? It's good to have, we'll have Mike Jack back this week. It's good to have him back. So he's doing well. Lemon and a lot of those guys really continue to impress. So excited to, maybe be a little bit closer to full strength there. Yeah, I think secondary's had a good week of practice. Sierra has really practiced well, taking on the challenge. He got a little dinged up in the game the other day, but has bounced back nicely. He's moving around full go. He'll be ready. I think safeties and nickels have all had a really strong week of practice as well. Christian Roland Wallace continues to practice well. So yeah, I mean, I feel like we've taken some steps on the field. There's nothing like seeing that first game and just the clarity it brings. And I think our guys have been hungry to practice, and we've gotten after them here last 3 days, and I think they've responded well. Yeah, in terms of Nevada, a little unique that you're playing second team in a row here, that, their first game, so obviously your evaluation is going to be, a lot based on, kind of what you have at your disposal. They've obviously got some new pieces on that roster, similar to the roster last week, and everybody. I mean, it's just part of the deal. So, certainly be interesting to see how they utilize the pieces. We know the quarterback's a good player, athletic player. We've been able to study him a little bit. He's knew about him coming out of high school, but good player. Defensively returned some guys and brought in some guys I think that have a chance to be some impact transfers with them. So yeah, I mean, it's first games are so different, man. And that, again, in this world with portal and all these rosters changing, I mean, it's like kind of first game all over again from an opponent study standpoint. So we know a lot of guys on that staff, man. They do a really, really nice job. A lot of crossover. A lot of us have coached with them or known some of these guys for a while. So a lot of respect for them, and should be a fun game.
We're going to finish up with 2 more. So we'll have Eric.
Like, there's always so much attention on your offensive skill guys, wide receiver, running back. At tight end, what does a guy like Lake McCree give you, and how have you seen him develop in your time there?
Yeah, he's been really tremendous for us. He's really, taking that room and just kind of really taking that position over. I mean, clear cut, unquestioned number 1 for us. Was really happy with how he played last year. And that was with, all the limited offseason and all the stuff that he battled through. And you could tell now he's got a full offseason in. He is physically so much further ahead than he was 12 months ago. He's really locked into what we're doing. I think as a staff, we trust him. I know, Caleb and the quarterbacks trust him. And yeah, he had a big role the other day, and I would certainly foresee that continuing. And yeah, just one of those guys that I think will just continue to become a bigger and bigger part of our offense, just like he's trended from last year on. So yeah, can't say enough about him. Really pleased with his progress, and I think he's primed to have a very impactful year.
And we'll wrap it up with Antonio.
Hey, Lincoln. Elijah Hughes was somebody who kind of flew under the radar as a recruit. How did you guys just find him, and how did he get on your radar?
Yeah, he had some West Coast connections, some family, and had spent a little bit of time out here. We had, several of us had some East Coast connections and had been hearing his name a little bit, and then he ended up getting on our radar, and we were able to make contact, and had found out about some of the. You figured out pretty quickly there was a mutual interest, and as we got to know the kid and his family more, We just thought he really fit. We actually thought he was going to commit quite a bit earlier than he ended up committing. And honestly, you know, it played out for a while. But we were so convinced that the fit was right, positionally, academically, just the right type of kid, like everything. We were so convinced that we really hung in there for a long time with him, and he was very patient with his decision, very methodical, but we were thrilled when he chose us in the end. And yeah, we felt like honestly that we'd stolen one a little bit in terms of, I mean, he was highly recruited, but you know, he wasn't, there's other guys that are more highly recruited that in our opinion weren't near the prospect of that he is. We felt like from the very first second, we felt like he was a guy that was going to come in, have a chance to have an impact. And obviously he certainly hasn't disappointed and has probably exceeded expectations up to this point.